This is a lot of books. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to count them all. Hello besties! Welcome back to my channel. Bit of a different setup to usual because exciting, we have just moved. This is the first video that I'm filming in our new apartment. Keep your eyes out for a kind of apartment tour book organization video. I actually don't know when I'll be able to get around to doing that. I kind of want to wait until our apartment's a little bit more set up until I give you guys a bit of a tour. So I think it's gonna be a while until you see anything of this new place outside of like videos like these, but there's been a lot of exciting stuff happening. Moving's just one of them. There's a whole bunch of other stuff, but packing up all my books and being able to kind of reorganize them all has been the perfect opportunity for me to gather all of the books that I've bought over the last 6 months, I think, since I last did a book haul on this channel. There was a video last year where I said it was going to be my last book haul video of 2021, and I said I'd do one. I think I said I'd do one at the start of 2022. Obviously it's not the start of 2022 anymore, we're halfway through the year. It's definitely been at least 6 months since my last book haul video, and we have a lot of books to haul together. I want to count how many books that I've bought altogether because I've bought so many new books. I definitely got into the habit of buying books over reading books over the past few months, which has not been good. But honestly, I would also guess that a lot of these books that I've bought are books that I have already read, which is honestly what I usually do with books. I usually read the ebook version, and then when I really love a book, I'll buy the physical version for my bookshelf. And like, I specifically enjoy owning physical books of my favorite books, the books that I love. I'm not a huge fan of buying books that I haven't read before, but there will be a few books that I haven't read in this haul. We have to get through this big box. Hang on, let me show you. This big box of books is full of books that I've bought, but I actually have some book mail that has finally been delivered, which I thought we could unbox first. I bought these books. Both of these boxes are from one order. They just got sent separately, but both of these packages were books that I bought for my birthday. Part of the books that I bought for my birthday. These are the only books I bought for my birthday, but it was my birthday in April. Oh, fuck. But ordering books online in New Zealand, so my birthday was towards the end of April. We're like halfway through May and these just arrived because buying books from overseas takes forever. But let's unbox some books. I bought a bunch of kind of litfic classics, books that I see a lot online advertised as like sad girl, hot girl books. I love how they're pink. All three of these are pink. I love that. The first one is The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. This is such a popular book. I really wanted to get this edition specifically because I think it's gorgeous. The pink and the white with the little gold roses flowers on the cover. It's so gorgeous, and I was really excited to see that they had this version specifically available online when I was buying all of these other books. So I haven't actually read this yet. I also really want to watch the movie directed by Sofia Coppola because I love her as a director. So I think I'm going to read this and then watch the movie sometime. Then I'm very excited for this. This is the book that I actually told my mom that I wanted to buy for my birthday, and she gave me the money to get this and some of these other books. But that is The Idiot by Elif Batuman, not to be mistaken by the Russian classic, but this is very much a dark academia book. It's compared to The Secret History, which is one of my favorites, and all my friends on Instagram have either read this or are currently reading this, and I've been dying to read this for about a year now, so I'm so excited to get this. But all of the copies that were available in New Zealand had the ugliest cover ever, and this is the edition that I see everywhere on Instagram. This minimal pink cover, it's so gorgeous. I love it. Again, found a version available online that was able to ship to New Zealand. So happy. Like, maybe a little bit upsetting that I could have bought the ugly version from a local indie bookstore and, you know, support a local indie bookstore, but this is the edition that I wanted on my shelves. So this is the one that I got. And a classic, a book, I can't believe I haven't read this yet, but My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Otessa Mossvegh, and I am so excited to read this. I've honestly had a lot of mixed reviews about this, and I also heard that it's being turned into a movie, which from what I've heard about this, it's about a woman who takes a year of rest and relaxation. She like drugs herself to sleep. I don't know exactly how that's going to be turned into a movie, but I guess I don't know because I haven't read this yet. So I'm very interested to see, because it's such a kind of vague and interesting concept. I'm very excited to see what the story is actually like, because as much as so many people have read it and reviewed it, I don't actually really know what happens. Very excited to read this, and excited that I was able to get the copy with the pink spine. So I have a cute little stack of pink books, and then this other package. This is actually very fun to me because I'm actually currently on a book buying ban, so opening this with you guys, it feels like I'm not on a book buying ban, and it feels like I am getting book mail, and I love getting stuff in the mail so much. I actually can't remember what the other thing I ordered was. Oh yes, I didn't know this was going to be a hardcover. Okay, I got Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Mallows, and this is quite a new release actually, but it sounds really interesting. With the pink foil on the spine, please. That is too gorgeous. I love the art on this cover. Very interested to read this actually. I really was not expecting the hardcover. That's really throwing me off, but it's beautiful. I'm not complaining, and I love how the white and pink, it goes with the rest of the pink stack. So these are 4 of the books that I bought for my birthday, and all of these are books that I haven't read yet, so that's like a bit of a birthday treat for me. Some books that I actually haven't read and can actually read for the first time and own them, and that's really exciting. I'm actually currently doing a challenge where I try and read 20 books that I've bought and haven't read yet before I buy any more books, because obviously we have this whole big box of books to unpack. I've been buying too many books and not actually taking the time to read the books that I buy. So it's a little challenge that I'm doing. I talked about it over on Instagram, I think at the start of this month. I think I said I was going to start this. So these books can be added to the list of my unread books that I can pick from for this challenge, which is great. I did say I bought other books for my birthday, but the other books that I bought I have already read. They were just books that I wanted to buy to add to my bookshelves. So the other books that I got for my birthday, I am honestly so excited to finally own physical copies of these, because they are books by one of my favorite indie romance authors. And listen, some books are hard enough to get in New Zealand, but not only are indie romances hard to get, they're also fucking expensive. So these cost a lot of money. Like, this was a treat, a birthday treat. Speaking of birthdays, Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I finally was able to invest in physical copies of Penelope Douglas's books. I'm so excited. Birthday Girl, the first Penelope Douglas book I ever read. Honestly, one day I will make a video where I list off the ushiest, gushiest, smuttiest books I've ever read. This is on there. This is 100% on there. This book is a classic, a favorite. I love it. I got Birthday Girl, I got Tri-Six Venom, probably my favorite sapphic romance at the moment. So angsty, so smutty, so good. I did a reading vlog for this last year when it came out, and I said in that vlog, I'm pretty sure, that I was going to buy it immediately. I didn't buy a copy of this immediately. It took me a whole year, but I finally have it. And I also got the 4 main books in the Devil's Night series. I've done a reading vlog on this series as well. This is I honestly think this is probably one of my favorite series of all time. The more I think about the series, like, the more that I reread them, the more that I love them so much. I actually got these, and I've already reread Corrupt since I got these. I actually got the audiobook out and listened to the audiobook while I read along with the physical copy, and listen, the audiobook was an experience. It was the first time in a really long time that I felt fully immersed in a book, listening to the audiobook and reading the physical copy at the same time. Like, taking the time to fully read this book, it was so nice. And I actually am going to find the audiobooks for the other 3 and reread the rest of the series over the next few months. I'm so excited. I love all of the characters in this series. I love the plot. I love the atmosphere, the vibes, the aesthetics of the series is so good. I'm so excited to own these. There are 2 little novellas that go along with the series that I haven't bought, but I'm not too fussed about owning those. Honestly, I'm happy to just read those on my phone as an ebook. But I had to get these, and I'm so excited that I finally have them. So that's all the Penelope Douglas books that I got. And then I also got the 4 other books that I haven't read yet. So I got 10 books for my birthday in total. I definitely splurged for my birthday this year. A lot. I don't regret it though. Books are such an investment. I'm always happy to invest in books. Should we talk about my next most exciting purchase? I think we should. I really think we should, because I have been dying to talk about this series with you guys for so long, and I think I've mentioned it once or twice briefly, and I think I've said that I'm going to do a longer video on this series, and I will. I'm going to start working on it basically as soon as I finish filming this. As soon as I finished unpacking at this new apartment, this is the first video that I want to film, and that is the Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Technically, I bought Addicted to You last year. I have already hauled this on this channel. I picked this up in February, read this, immediately went and read the other 9 books in the series. Yes, that's right, there's 10 books in the series. I read all of these in February, but the only physical one that I had was this one. Since February, I have bought Ricochet, Addicted for Now, Kiss the Sky, Hothouse Flower, Thrive, Addicted After All, Fuel the Fire, Long Way Down, and where's the last one? And finally, Some Kind of Perfects. I have bought the entire series since February, over 2 months. And these are also indie romances. These were expensive, and not only that, I bought the new editions of the Calloway sister books, so Kiss the Sky, Hothouse Flower, Fuel the Fire, and Long Way Down. These are all new editions, so they were even more expensive than the other ones. Honestly, worth every single cent though. This is my favorite series of all time. I literally just read it in February, but these books have changed my life. The Addicted series by Krista and Becca Ritchie, words cannot even describe. I have been putting off making the video about these books because I genuinely don't know, like, what can I say about these books? Because how do I, like, what more can I say other than these books are just my whole life now? Because they are. Anyway, it's been only 2 months, but I honestly think about the series 24/7, and I'm gonna reread these immediately as soon as possible. I'm gonna bring you guys along with me. We're gonna do a reading vlog, a rereading vlog, kind of. I don't know. I'm very excited. I'm also going to do a reading vlog where I read the other books in this series, technically spin-off series, but it's kind of involving all the same characters, and there are like 10 more books in that series, so you're gonna get a lot of Addicted content from me. I'm so excited. I have been dying to reread these since I've bought all the physical books. I've been waiting to own all of them. We're gonna go through, we're gonna annotate. It's gonna be so good. I'm going to love every single second. But that's 10 more books that I've bought in over 2 months. That's way too many. And it's not even all of the books that I bought. I bought more books. Not to say that all of the other books aren't that exciting, but everything else from this point on, not that it's not exciting, but it's kind of like filler almost. Filler doesn't make sense, but it kind of will once we talk about it. Now, the next 2 books that I bought were actually for my book club that I started this year. The first book that we read was The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. You guys have seen this on my channel before. And then the next book that we picked for book club was Vicious by V.E. Schwab. So I got a physical copy. I also got a copy of Vengeful, the sequel, and this was April's pick for book club, but as you can probably see by how much I've tabbed in Vicious, I obviously haven't finished it yet, and we're in May now, and that is fully my bad. Life has been very crazy over the past few months, so I need to finish Vicious and Vengeful so I can actually move on to May's book, which we have picked, and was actually one of the last books that I bought before going on my book buying ban. I don't have the dust cover, and you can't really, actually, why don't I just open it up so you guys can see what it is, because you can't tell from the spine. May's book club book is, you can't even really see that, Iron Widow by Zhang Zhao, and this is a YA sci-fi dystopian fantasy. We picked this for May because it's currently Asian American Pacific Islander month. It's obviously written by an Asian author. Great. And I'm very excited to read this with you guys once I've finished Vicious and Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. If you guys want to join in on the book club this month, any of the future months, it's over on Instagram. The account is Besties Buddy Reads, and so you can keep up to date with all of the announcements and things like that over there. I do really want to do videos about the books that I read for book club on this channel. I haven't figured out if I want to do vlogs or just like book reviews. If you guys have an opinion, let me know, but hopefully I can get into that soon now that we've moved and everything will be, hopefully life will be a lot less complicated soon. So hopefully I can get to making videos for book club as well. Another really exciting purchase that I got, I think back in February or March, I bought physical copies of the 4 Heartstopper comics by Alice Oseman, and I actually was able to get physical copies of these before the show came out on Netflix in April, and I was able to reread all of these, which was such a great time. And the show on Netflix was so incredible, so good. Highly recommend this series, both the comics and the show on Netflix. I had originally read all of these except for the 4th comic online. I can't remember the name of the site, but Alice Oseman uploads all of the comics online. I got through all of these in like one night. It doesn't take very long to read them, but honestly, such a comfort series. I'm so happy to support Alice Oseman, such a great creator, and own these on my shelves finally. There are actually 2 other books that I did actually technically get around my birthday. Actually no, there are 4 more books that I got around my birthday for my birthday. They were just hiding. I got 2 books that I've already read. Tools of Engagement by Tessa Bailey. This is the 3rd book in the Fix Her Up series, if that's what it's called. No, it's the Hot and Hammered series. This is the 3rd and the final book in the series, but this one was my favorite from what I remember, and I saw this at Wickles, which is like generic chain bookstore in New Zealand, and I was honestly just really surprised to see Tessa Bailey on the shelves. We're finally starting to get some romance books in New Zealand on the bookshelves, which is very exciting. So I got this, and I also got a copy of The Burning God by Arif Kwan, the 3rd and final book to the Poppy War trilogy, which is one of the best fantasy series of all time. Like, this series is going to go on to become a classic of our time. That is how good this fantasy series is. And I own the first 2, and now I finally own the 3rd one. And I actually have a reading vlog of this book up on my channel. This book ruined me. The whole series ruined me. Please check trigger warnings for the series before you go into it, because there's a lot of very intense triggering content in the series, but it's really good. And honestly, now that I have physical copies of all of them, because I read the whole series as ebooks, I think I can finally do a reread with my physical copies, which is going to be very exciting. I'll probably annotate these, because this is, not only will these go on to be classics, this series is like one of my favorites. So I bought these 2 randomly, went to the bookstore around my birthday, treated myself. I also did buy some birthday books from the local indie bookstore. I treated myself to the cloth-bound penguin edition of Jane Eyre, one of my favorite classics of all time, one of my favorite books of all time, and this edition is so beautiful, as are all of the cloth-bound editions. I now own 4 of these, which is very exciting. And honestly, I do usually buy one on holidays when I get given book money, so I usually buy one of these for my birthday and at Christmas. I do have another one of these, the cloth-bound penguin editions 2 haul. And the other book that I got was Insatiable by Daisy Buchanan, and this is a book kind of similar to the other books that I got for my birthday. Hot, sad girl kind of literature that I see around a lot on Instagram and TikTok. And also this cover is just really striking. The orange, kind of orangey bright red, is really, it's just really cool to me. It stood out on the shelves at the bookstore. I recognized the author, recognized the title, decided to give it a go. I haven't read this, so that's exciting. But I bought both of these actually on my birthday, which was really nice. So make that 14 books that I bought for my birthday. What else do we have in here? Okay, I don't know which one of these is the worst purchase. You guys can tell me. I bought How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black, which is kind of a add-on to the Folk of the Air trilogy. It's a short story collection, I believe, all about Cardan, one of the main characters from the Folk of the Air trilogy by Holly Black. I didn't buy this because I really wanted to read it. I think I have tried to pick this up and read it before and I wasn't really interested. I do like, it has really beautiful like illustrations, which I honestly love a really beautiful illustrated book. So I'm not upset to own this, but I am not even joking when I say I bought this because there was a gap on my bookshelf that I had the Folk of the Air trilogy on, and I knew, just by looking at it, I knew that this book, if I got a copy of this book, it would fit perfectly and my shelf would be perfectly full. That's why I bought it. I will probably read it at some point, but really it's not a priority. I genuinely just got it to fill in a gap on my shelf, which I think is kind of horrible. But then I also bought the second book in Sarah J Maas's latest fantasy series. The Crescent City series, House of Sky and Breath, and I fully bought this. This was a hate purchase. I don't like Sarah J Maas as a person. She's just like a bit too problematic. Something like fully just fell in my eye from this book. It's trying to kill me. Sarah J Maas is trying to kill me. Anyway, I have a vlog up for the Court of Thorns and Roses trilogy, and I honestly enjoyed the reading experience of that. First book of this, however, is one of the worst books that I've ever read, ever. Genuinely, like, objectively a terrible book. And I wasn't going to get this until, listen, it was unfortunate, but the end of this book got spoiled about a week before its release, and a lot of people were really upset. But I loved the fact that the end of this book got spoiled, and the ending was very intriguing. I'm not going to spoil it here in case anyone's concerned about that, but the ending being spoiled did lead me to buy this, and I think I'm going to wait until the third book comes out, and I'm going to read all of them and do a video on it, kind of like a very deep dive essay sort of video. It's going to be critical. It's probably going to be a little bit hateful, which is very different kind of content on my channel. I don't usually do kind of hateful content, but I genuinely bought this just for a video. I have no intentions of reading this anytime soon, but I own the first one, so I got a physical copy of this as well. I'm gonna rip it to shreds for that video. I will honestly probably rip the books apart because I genuinely just have no respect for them whatsoever. So yeah, I don't know which is a worse kind of purchase. Honestly, both kind of bad, but I bought both of these. While we're talking about fantasy, I also got a copy of A Shadow in the Ember by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and this is the first book in the prequel series to the From Blood and Ash series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. And I honestly, the books are bad, okay? I know that the books are bad, but these books are like comfort reads to me. They make me laugh, they make me smile, they're paranormal, they've got vampires. It's literally just everything that I love, and so I bought a physical copy. I honestly wanted to get paperbacks of these, but for some reason, the paperback versions of Jennifer L. Armentrout's books are so expensive. I'm talking like $60 for a paperback. This was also kind of expensive. I think it was like $35. Really breaking the bank, and I don't need to break my bank because I've already broken my bank with all of these books that I've bought, but broke the bank for this. Will break the bank at some point and get the hardcovers for the From Blood and Ash series. I think I've given up on getting paperbacks, and I would like to own all of these books at some point in my life, and I think if I wait for the paperbacks to get cheaper, I will be very old by the point that I'll be able to afford the paperbacks. So hardbacks it is. Anyway, got this. I also got A Touch of Malice by Scarlett St. Clair, and I love Scarlett St. Clair. This is the second book in her Hades and Persephone retelling series. I own the first book. I will eventually own all of them. She's technically done 2 series of Hades and Persephone's retellings, so this series, the Touch of Darkness series, is all from Persephone's point of view, but then she has the series told from Hades' point of view. Eventually, I will own all of them. I really love Scarlett St. Clair. I honestly love her. I follow her on Instagram. I just find her so inspiring, and she seems like a genuinely very nice person. If anything comes out about Scarlett St. Clair being a piece of trash or a problematic author, I will be very upset. But for now, got the second book. Very excited to read the physical copy of this because I have read this. Another book that I have read but I'm very excited to own and reread is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I did a video on Colleen Hoover's books. I read a bunch of them for a video, and this is by far my favorite Colleen Hoover book. Very different to a lot of her more well-known, well-liked sad, angsty romances. This is great. I really love this. It's very dark, really kind of romance, which is so great, and she does it surprisingly really well. And this book has stuck with me since I read it for the first time, I think in 2019 or 2020. It's been like a good few years, and I still remember so much about this book and the feeling I had when I read it, and I'm really excited to reread this. I think I might reread this in like October, spooky month, because this is like the perfect kind of, if you're gonna pick up a romance book in October, this is the one to pick up because it's definitely spooky. Very excited to own this. Oh, I actually bought another Colleen Hoover book. Her latest release, Reminders of Him. I haven't read this yet, but I will definitely get to it. And I bought this because I was actually in my local indie bookstore, and while our big chain bookstores in New Zealand are kind of starting to get romances, I really did not expect to see a Colleen Hoover book at the local indie bookstore, let alone her newest release. So I got it. I wasn't even intending to buy anything on the day that I was in the bookstore. I just honestly go to the bookstore sometimes and just look around, and it's a happy place to be, right? It's not like I buy a book every time I go into a bookstore, but I saw this and I just kind of had to pick it up. I don't love Colleen Hoover's books, but they are enjoyable, and I have heard we'll say good things about this. I mean, I've heard it's sad in a good way, so I will definitely read this sometime soon. Another book I got from the indie bookstore one time, randomly I think, was this non-fiction book, Kink. Kink is a dynamic anthology of literary fiction that opens an imaginative door into the world of desire. So it's a whole bunch of essays by very famous authors all about love and sex. I've seen it around a bit on Instagram, and I really wanted to pick it up, and I was very happy to find this in the local indie bookstore. And I honestly think non-fiction anthologies are something that I really want to get into a little bit more of. The last books that I have randomly bought over the past few months, before we get into the books that I bought for Christmas, is a trilogy that I read in high school thanks to one of my best friends, and the series is just so good. It's like a classic series from my teenage years, and 16-year-old me would be screaming over the fact that I own physical copies of this series. Again, this is like an indie published series, so not that easy to get in New Zealand, but the series is the All for the Game trilogy. It's also known as the Foxhole Court series by Nora Sakovic, and this was a really big series on Tumblr. I think that's how my friend actually heard about it and like decided to read it, just because we were all on Tumblr. And I literally have just seen that these are sparkly. Oh my god, I love that. Like, just a little bit. There's just a little bit of glitter on them. That is so cute. Oh, this one's a little bit dirty from the move, but that's okay. So it's the Foxhole Court, the King's Men, and the Raven King, and this is a new adult queer sport romance series. I think that's kind of the way to describe it. Also sort of like a mafia romance, dark taboo romance. There's a lot going on in this trilogy. It's very much an indie published series, and I mean that in the best way. It kind of reads like fanfiction, but it's not fanfiction or anything. It's like an original universe. But I have reread this multiple times since I first read it when I was like 15, 16, and I'm so excited to do my next reread with the physical copies. This is definitely going to be a series that I annotate. So super excited that I own the physical copies of these. And that is kind of the last thing that I have randomly bought offline over the past few months. We'll do a count at the end. There are just a few more books. The box is now empty. The last few books that I have are all books that I got over Christmas, either gifted to me or bought with like gift vouchers and money that I was given to buy books with. I'm not even kidding. Whenever it's Christmas or my birthday, everyone just gives me money for books because they know that that's like genuinely what I want the most, and it's so true. So for Christmas, what did I get for Christmas? I got a cloth bound Penguin classic. I got Persuasion by Jane Austen, and I haven't actually read this yet, so all of the other cloth bound books that I have bought I have read, but I decided to get Persuasion by Jane Austen. I haven't read it yet. I really want to, but also there's a movie adaptation coming out with Dakota Johnson and Henry Golding, and I'm so excited for that, and I definitely have to read it before I go and see that movie, because I'm definitely going to see that movie when it comes out, so I have to read this before then. That's why I got this. I got a book that I was going to read for a video, but I don't know if I'm going to do this video anymore, but that was The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, and I've actually started this. I've read the first few like 20-50 pages, and it's very, very different to what I was expecting. So it's been recommended to me quite a few times actually, and so from these recommendations, from what people had told me, I figured it was kind of going to be a classic self-help productivity kind of book. But this is actually very spiritual, which is not what I was expecting at all, and I think it kind of threw me for a loop. So I started reading this and I wasn't expecting what this actually was like at all, so I kind of stopped. I definitely do think I will read this and finish this, but I just don't know if I'm going to read this for a video. I don't know if it'll work for the video that I had planned, but this is very interesting. I don't usually buy nonfiction, and this is definitely like not the nonfiction that I was expecting. Not that I wouldn't have bought this if someone had told me that it was going to be a spiritual kind of book, and honestly I think I kind of like it more as a spiritual kind of self-help sort of book instead of a productivity, time management, grind, hustle kind of self-help book. But yeah, this one really threw me for a loop, so I don't know when I'm going to get around to finishing this. And I did also buy another non-fiction book, which was Trick Mirror by Gia Tolentino, and I've heard really great things. This is a anthology of essays, I think kind of more personal essays, and I think this has been out for a few years now. I'm very late to getting on the hype for this and picking up a copy and reading it. Another book that I feel like everyone else has read that I haven't is On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong. I'm so excited to read this. I've only heard incredible things, and I honestly really like how my copy of this is different to the copy that I see everywhere else, but this is the vintage classic edition. I think the UK one, and in New Zealand we definitely are more likely to get UK versions of books than the US versions, and I honestly haven't seen this version online, but I love it. The autumnal leaves, it's so gorgeous, really, and then the background is like this kind of deep midnight navy sky. It's gorgeous. It's so beautiful, and I've heard the book itself is really beautiful as well, so I'm very excited to read this. Another book that I honestly haven't heard a lot about, but I read the synopsis and it just like really stood out to me, and I love a good campus dark academia kind of novel, which is kind of what this seems like it's going to be. Real Life by Brandon Taylor. This won the 2020 Booker Prize, and honestly I think the title stood out to me because I saw this after I had just read A Little Life, and I didn't like A Little Life, and I kind of wanted something that was similar but better, in the sense that I wanted to find a campus novel that was a little bit depressing but not traumatizing and hopefully queer, and I'm pretty sure that that is exactly what this is. Have not heard a whole lot of people talk about it, even though it has won the Booker Prize, so very excited to get to this. And then the last two books that I have to haul were actually gifted to me by my best friend Ren. Ren, if you're watching this, you're like one of the only people who I know who watches my videos. Shout out to you. Love you, bestie. Ren sent me two books for Christmas. I've taken the dust jackets off both of them, but one of them is The Coldest Touch by Isabel Sterling, and this is a YA queer paranormal romance, I believe. I can't remember exactly. I think it's something to do with like ghosts or spirits, something like that. I can't remember the description that well, and I honestly don't read a lot of YA anymore, but if I was going to read any kind of YA, this would be the YA that I would read. And the other book that Ren also sent me was, I don't know if this is adult or YA, but it's Malice by Heather Walter, which is a queer retelling of, is it Sleeping Beauty? And this has been on my wish list for a while actually, so it was really nice of Ren to get it for me. And this book was actually, I think Ren has a copy of The Coldest Touch, and so we might buddy read it together. We'll just have to see. But these are the two books I got for Christmas, and they're extra special because they were picked out by someone else. It means the world to me. Like, getting money to buy books is great, but having someone buy you books personally is also, it's just such a special experience, and I'm very excited to read these. Thank you so much again, Ren, if you're watching this. I've honestly, for a lot of these books, I've honestly been waiting to film a haul before I read any of these, but it just took me longer to get around to filming than I initially thought. So now that I've hauled all of these books, I can finally get to reading them. Should I show you what? All of these books, oh my gosh. So those were the 49 books that I've bought over the past 6 months, but genuinely I do not think I would have bought this many books if it hadn't been for Christmas and my birthday. And I'm definitely not complaining about all of these amazing books that I now own and are able to put on my shelves. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books, especially the ones that I said I haven't read yet. I would genuinely love to hear what you guys thought of the books, and I will definitely make sure to show you guys where I end up putting all of these on my shelves. Make sure to do a bookshelf tour. You'll see all of these books on my shelves. And thank you guys so much for watching. I've missed you guys so much. I will see you guys with another video probably sometime soon. Bye besties.